Opening slides, love it. So we were talking when we were putting the slides together, and what we wanted to share that we were excited about is that, the old saying goes that you don't get to make a first impression twice. But with COVID and all of its different impacts, and we're all starting to venture out again, and we've been homebound, and we're going to rediscover our downtowns and other parts of Portland again. And after months of isolation, this is about as close as we're ever going to get to make a good first impression on a second time, have a second chance to make a good first impression, because we're all re-entering public sphere again. So we really wanted to help you guys make another great first impression for new customers, as well as the returning ones that you're going to be welcoming back. And we've cherry picked, like we talked about SKU rationalization earlier, we've cherry picked a bunch of different ideas that we wanted to bring to the fore and emphasize for you today. So there are things that you can work on in the next few weeks to help make a really strong statement as possible for yourself in the coming holiday season. So,
and Shawnette always says, if you haven't started yet, now's the perfect time.
Exactly.
Yesterday was the perfect time.
Right.
Yeah, kind of like planting a tree. If not today, yesterday, today. So I'm going to try drive in here, or I'm going to use the arrows. I'm going to use that. No. Oh, that worked. Okay, got it.
There we are,
Shifting
in all of our
and
glory.
driving.
Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. So you know which one is which. I'm Anne Marie. That's Shawnette.
Wear my glasses.
So who exactly are we? We are Frontdoor Back, and we are a research and store design firm. We each have been working in various aspects of retail for over 20 years. So we've worked in sales and marketing, in shopper research, shopper insights, and store design. And then the two of us have been working together for over 5, close to 10, long time.
We're not that old.
We're not that old. So we are in the over 20 years that we've been doing this, we are, as Malcolm Gladwell would say, the experts, retail and retail design experts. These are the beliefs that we take into every project that we do. We believe so strongly that experience matters. And what that means to us is in-store experience. We want to keep people offline as much as possible and get them into the store. It's still important to be online and to have a good online presence, but we want that in-store experience because that's what really resonates with shoppers. We believe that strong stores make strong districts, and that's why you go to a district, for a restaurant, for a store. And that strong district is made up of good lighting, good signage, good windows. And we always say, which resonates very much with today, start with your windows, because a small change can make a big difference. Just make a change, it makes a difference. We also believe very strongly, and this will come primarily at the back half of the presentation, that you have to understand your shopper to build the best experience. So you have to know how a shopper uses your store. So that's my piece of the puzzle, the shopper insights. So we're going to start with the outside of the store, then we're going to go inside of the store. That's Shawnette.
And something I've learned from Anne Marie over the years is that when you seek to understand your shopper's journey, you really have to get out of your own head. And it's not about what you want, or what you think. It's really paying attention and observing what it is that they want, and listening and talking to them, and really trying to channel them as much as possible, even though it's your passion to bring them these things and your experience, and you're in charge of how it's going to happen. I've just learned a lot to be very observational, and that really influenced my store design ultimately, because the more I learned about the shopper, the more effective I was at deciding where the cash wrap should go, or where the fixture should be placed, or even what kind of fixture to have. So kind of starts with that foundation of really listen to your shoppers.
So the way that we typically do what we do, Shawnette and I, Frontdoor Back together, is that we start with about a 90-minute presentation. So you guys are getting a very abbreviated version today, a 90-minute presentation about best practices outside the store and inside the store. We give this presentation to the stakeholders, to the retailers, the service providers, the Main Street directors, the downtown directors, the folks from the city, the builders, the developers. We get all those interested parties in the room and teach them a language and a philosophy. And then we meet with the store owners one-on-one. This is what this picture is. We're standing outside of their store, right at where the sidewalk turns into their property, and We're talking to them about every customer facing thing. So everything that could make an impression, we talk about with the shop owners. And then we move to the inside of the store and we do the same thing. We walk through the store as if we were shoppers, walk through the journey of the store, and we help them see their store in a way that maybe they haven't looked at it before.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on your side.
Yeah.
So it's easy for us to be armchair quarterbacks, but we really are on your side.
Yeah.
So by the end of the visit, we want everybody to be happy and smiling, to have takeaways of things that they can be working on, not this huge insurmountable list of, a new roof and moving walls. We want to start with incremental changes that can make big differences.
Yeah, no deer in the headlight look.
So we're going to start outside the store, and Shauna's going to kick us off here with the storefront checklist.
Yeah, and this is, this helped me remember all the customer facing areas that we're going to talk to the retailer about. And of this list, we're going to kind of touch on some of them lightly, and then the deep dives today, because you can start tomorrow on these things, are the window display and lighting. And so that's where we're going to have most of the pictures around that, but we are going to leapfrog around on a few of the other lily pads in the pond here. So but starting at the top in the awnings, say we're outside and people are coming back, and sweep the sidewalks, clear the gutters out of there, whether it was your garbage or not. I talk to my kids, I don't care if you see it, pick it up, because we're absorbing the cleanliness and just overall ambiance of the district, storefront by storefront. And underneath your awnings, I got to go check my front porch right now. Cobwebs, old critters and leaves and whatnot. So get up there and really clean it out. Manage your cords, because this is the time of year we're going to start hanging lights and garlands and everything else out there. So just do a really deep house cleaning. And it's not that people are coming up and inspecting you, but we're going to start absorbing all of these minute details subconsciously about how cared for and what condition the storefronts are in. And especially post-COVID, we're so aware of the hit that our urban environment has taken, having to throw up plywood sometimes, and we decorated. We've done the best we can to bring some life and aesthetic back to it and not feel boarded up and ugly. But let's just get out and manage it and refresh it one more time before we put all of our decorations on there. And I brought some show and tell today, because while we're putting our lights up temporarily, there's zip ties, Christmas lights and things. There's zip ties, and there's wires, but my handy dandy former window display person that I am, I don't know if you guys have ever seen these. They're called chenilles. And does that read backwards or forwards?
It actually reads forward. So
it does. Okay, in our screen it's backwards, so I feel like anyway. So it's chenilles, and I get them at the wholesale floral market. You could probably find them at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Essentially, it's a fancy way of calling a pipe cleaner, but I can wrap it around wires, I can wrap it around an awning strut, and then I could tie it off really quick. And then it's really easy to undo. I don't have to get the wire cutters later to cut the zip ties off. And then I'm not accidentally cutting through my light cords, which
might have happened a time or two
before. But anyway, and you can get them in black, and you can get them in green, and you can get them in white. And those make your life so much easier. I like them better than the fishing line or the other stuff. So that was one of my tips for the day while you're out front hanging things, and even on the inside. So there you go. So on the outside, I also wanted to talk about while you're out shopping for Christmas lights, bigger is better. You can read the box, or you can be shopping online. Numbers really don't mean a whole lot, C7, C6, but I liked this diagram that just said, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Whatever it is, just go for the biggest ones that you can, because on a commercial building, you need something that can meet the size of the building and feel appropriate. Here's a great example of the image on the left. I think I hope it's being presented on the one that's brighter and prettier and has the soft glow to it. It has the people in it. Now there's a couple layers of light there, but their awning lighting is bigger and it's spaced out further, whereas the image on the right had the smaller Christmas lights and they were closer together, so it kind of bleeds into one line, and it's just underwhelming and doesn't pump out that kind of light. And they both had the right idea, but the execution is better because the light bulbs are bigger and further apart and have a better glow than the one on the right. So if you're buying them for the first time, upgrading and going for LED, buy the warm color white and get as big a light bulb as you can. Signage. If you have a sign, it must be lit, should be lit. Figure out a way, if not in the absolute near future, like in the next 2 weeks, you're already in the process of getting the lighting on it. But it's really, really important. It helps people know that you are in business and you're awake. Went to Walgreens 2 nights ago. Entire storefront was dark. Monument sign was dark. I walked in, talked to the manager, and said, "You probably tired of hearing this, but you know your sign light is out?" And she goes, "Oh my God, our sales, it's been out for a week and our sales have taken a nosedive. People think we're closed." It's a national chain. Why would anybody think Walgreens of all places is closed? And in a neighborhood where we all know this, everybody runs in there for milk or aspirin or whatever you need. So those are visual cues. And she said, as soon as the sun goes down, our business absolutely dies, because our sign is out now. So anecdotal, but it's so important to show, light your sign, and wherever your sign is, wherever you have a sign, it should be lit.
Wherever you have your name.
Wherever you have your name, it should be lit. And storefront, blade signs, blade signs are the pedestrian oriented signage. And that's what we use after we're out, when we're walking through the neighborhood, to help locate where the businesses are. Yes, sometimes we'll look across the street, but once we're that close to your door, we're using this pedestrian oriented signage, and it should be lit as well. And it's tough to light signs when they're on your glass. You don't ever want to block your glass with your store sign. It just kills the most active, vibrant part of your storefront and locks it down. And once you've seen it, then you don't need to look at it again. And it was such a sad day. And the backside of this sign is not good. So either way, we don't want it. So, and you couldn't light it. And then this is just another example of, they had, at least it was not a solid sign, but they still blocked their window on it. So signage, when it's on the building, should be lit. Signage on your glass is a whole other story. But in the realm of signage, if your district allows sandwich boards, I want you to make it as bespoke and on brand and cute as possible. And we like to ask, when we put these two pictures side by side, rhetorically, which one says local to you? The one that's plastic on the right, and it says what we expect, but the one on the left feels local. And so I would attribute Lark Press to being more local than the one on the right. And so follow through with the materials and the graphics that reinforce the fact that you're local and you're bespoke. To me, your sandwich boards, they should be still close to your front door. We don't need them 6 blocks away as some sort of wayfinding directional sort of thing. Keep them close. And they're like a little appetizer for your storefront at large. So give them a taste of who you are. And this was a cute little place in central Washington somewhere that I absolutely loved, because it was so on brand, bright colors, and then the boots jumping outside the shape of the little sandwich board. So that's it for signage for right now. When you have signs, light it. So let's get into windows. This is such valuable real estate. It's the canary in the coal mine. Your building could be falling apart, the paint's peeling, and the sidewalks could be littered with everything. But if somebody drives by and they see a healthy window and it looks good and go, "I like that. That looks like me," everything else will be forgiven, because they're like, "Oh, this district's coming up. Look, that retailer chose to site themselves here, and they're making a go of it because they look alive." And we love to see what's happening in there. And it's your best way to broadcast who you're about and what your vibe is. So let's use this real estate. And the real estate, if you measure the square foot of your windows, it's going to be bigger than any sign you've got on the building. That's how I rationalize investing in the windows versus inordinately spending a huge amount on your sign. I'm like, let's put it in the windows there. And you don't have to be an artist. You don't have to have 1,000 anthropology interns with
Hot glue guns.
Hot glue guns going after it, wouldn't that be fun? But doing something, people will notice the change, and anything um, is a positive. So don't prejudge, just get in there and make the best of it that you can, and people will comment on it and they will notice and look. So change is a positive. There was something else I was going to say about that. Do you remember?
Make change.
Make change. Just get in there. Don't be afraid to make the change. So the next few slides are some examples of where we did some makeovers. Most of the makeovers were less than $300, and we just found things either in the store or we went to the dollar store, and we just learned how to use the space that we had. We added color, we added light, and think about people walking by and completely ignoring this travel agency by what you see here versus that. Talk about creating an emotional, like, I don't know if they'd really know where the really cool spots are to go. I know it says happiest place on earth. That doesn't, it says Disney, but this feels like, dang, they know where, they know the vacation spots. And they take the mannequin in when they're done at the end of the day, but this thing livens it up. And now they're exciting to walk by, where before people used to just totally dismiss it. And then at night, still stay awake, have lighting in there. Volume, color, lighting. Here's another one. It's during the day. We know they're open because there is an open sign. You can see it in the top right window, but they don't look open. It just says open. We added lighting and some backdrop, and now, even after hours, you can see more than you could before. And we even added light in the center of the store, in the middle. We'll talk about that later. So we got a third window out of the deal because we learned what to use on the inside of the store, right in the middle there. Here's a before. It was kind of the garage sale approach to merchandising. They just had they just put everything, just spread it out, like putting everything out on the lawn. They weren't using the middle of their window at eye level. And the curtain kind of cut the window in half. There's like nothing above and then just stuff spread out below. There are some lights in there, but they're not on. The best light in this window is the street light that's being reflected from behind me when I took it from the before shot. Here's the after shot. We cleared everything out, created some risers, wanted to start lifting up the product a little bit higher, created a backdrop, and added some track lighting. Colors come to life. We have things to aim the lights at, and we just start teaching her how to start layering things and going up instead of just spreading things out. And here's a sneak peek at the back, so that instead of cutting the window in half, this is what we could still see through from the outside into the store. It's not getting blocked, but it's still attractive and organized on the backside. And those are just curtain rods, and she can change it out very easily. So kind of behind the curtain. Just redid this gallery store storefront, and they said, yep, we've got lighting. And I'm like, technically you have some lighting. I see them on. However, how about that? Literally, this was like 70, we got back from Modesto 3 days ago, and we put in track lighting. For now, it's just plugged in. The electrician has to come back and make it permanent. And then we reset what was happening underneath it to tell a better story, because before it just looked like all like expensive pottery and the expensive paintings. And I'm like, no, they had jewelry and candles and these really cute little blown glass pumpkins. It was affordable. It wasn't scary expensive. So now their story comes to life, and we've got light. This lady that has the bag in here, literally, she was walking down, went past the storefront, came back, and we're like just scrambling to get the phone out to get a picture. And I'm like, this is perfect. The windows caught her, and now she's walking into there and this is after hours. So anyway, so you're a retail store. We talked about that. Maybe you're not a retail store. Maybe you're a restaurant, or this is an insurance agency that we're looking at here, or you're just a downtown, say you're an accountant or a chiropractor, but you're on the ground floor, but you have windows. You still have a role to play in terms of just because you don't sell a thing, you're selling a service and you're selling yourself. This is a real estate agent in Oregon City, not real estate, it was insurance, excuse me. Check that out. She had her own little anthropology team called Her Daughter that did this, but it was powerful. It became part of the fabric of downtown. Everybody would drive by to see what she was doing inside of her windows, and it became a launching point in conversations for future customers, because it was just like, oh my God, that's something to talk about. What'd you do in your windows? And this is an engineering company that's in downtown Vancouver, and they look fantastic. They are part of the downtown fabric. They didn't put up blinds and close it off and say, everybody look away and keep out after hours. They lit their sign, so they're communicating who they are after hours. They can decorate this up at the holidays, but you know what's happening inside, and they're part of, they contribute positively to the downtown district experience, even though they sell just a service versus a physical thing. Their whole front area is their window display, that they are their product, and they've got their name lit, and it's a nice colorful wall. So let's deconstruct the window, and what does it take to create a good window? Because we could easily just like pull up our Pinterest pages and say, here's all of our favorite holiday things, but then send you home and go, how am I going to do that? And I'm, all these great ideas, and they're just going to crash, like, I don't know, or it's going to take me a week to do that. I would rather have you go naked for a week in your windows, that is, and put your infrastructure in place, and then you're just cooking with gas after that. You're going to fly through it. So let me explain the drawing that we've got here. Can you see my cursor? I'm looking for Jacobs. Yes. And Joy's nods.
Yeah.
Okay. So this skinny blue thing here, that's just the glass. And then the gray part's like the building wall, and then you have the glass in it. So that's the front window. And those, I built it about your average size. And then the platform would be a riser that's either built in there or you added. And then those blue bands are the front zone of the window. There's this middle area where we're going to load all of our product up on. And then on the far right is where we put backdrops. And that's where the sweet spot is for creating displays versus just laying it out like at Melt Glass did before. But you've got to have infrastructure to build your window display from the bottom up and the top down. So I'm going to use this diagram and then start adding some things in so you can see, how do you get stuff in the middle? First of all, exactly where is the middle? When you're standing on the platform, your eye level is different than somebody who's outside. And I want you to go outside, get a piece of tape, and just put it at eye level so that when you're inside, you can remember, oh yeah, there it is, because you lose perspective when you're in the middle of the display and hanging things. And you can go peel that little piece of tape off later. So do that, and then know that our magic zone is going to be that medium color, thicker blue band is where we're going to start staging all of our props. Bottom up, if you don't have something already there, buy risers, so stuff is not on the floor, and or use objects. You can use books, you can use cardboard boxes, you could use chairs, you could use suitcases, ladders, anything to get stuff off the floor so that the product is not sitting and being devalued directly on the floor. And then from the top down, you've got to figure out, all right, I want to hang a cute cloud, I want to hang an umbrella, I want to have garlands coming down, or I want to have that glittery, gauzy fabric hanging from the ceiling, either in the center or on the back. So here's a couple ways. You could get aircraft cable, and IKEA has these for like $10 or $11, and you could stretch it across and anchor it left and right of the window so you can hang things. You could use dowels, really long dowels, and put wood at either end. Pretty inexpensive. This is grid. You could get, the thing that makes me nervous about some grid wall and other types of wire, heavy wire, is it's heavy. And I'm like, I don't know in old buildings what we're drilling into, and I don't want things crashing down. But if you know what you're going into and you have the hardware to do it, great, get that up in the ceiling. You could drill hooks into the ceiling, or magnets. This is something that we did out in California. We actually took flat stock metal, got it at Home Depot, and already had holes in it, wrapped it in contact paper, and then we mounted it to the ceiling, and then bought rare earth magnets, which I happen to have one here, and magnetized, just put, and then when we wanted to move it, we just twisted it off and snapped it somewhere else. So if after we got the display together, we realized we needed that backdrop to just scooch, You don't have to like get the drill out and do a scooch like that. You just like, I'm just going to move the magnet. So yeah, I was really excited about that. But a bunch of different ways to use your ceiling. You've got to create that infrastructure so you can hang things down, build things up, and then you can start arranging all sorts of things. On another day, we'd love to talk about how to decide what the heck to put in the middle. But the principle that I want you to remember, though, is a product to prop ratio. So the product, literally, I'm going to outline the shoes and the purse and the jacket, but the prop are all the picture frames in here. And so if you isolate and go out of that big square of the window, 20% of that is product, but the scene is set with the props behind it. And when you have this ratio, you end up becoming excited because the scenery caught my eye, and then I got to see the product placed within it. And that's what makes Anthropologie's windows so exciting. And everybody's like, oh my God, I love their windows. And that's kind of the formula behind it, is that it's really good at setting the scene, and then they place their product right in the middle of it. It gets you looking and gets you excited. And they have the infrastructure and the interns to do it. I'm not harshing on interns. I'm just saying.
We need one.
We need one. And here's Knit and Purl. I'm trying to remember how many years ago I took it. But they're not selling rope. They're not selling anchors. They're selling yarn. But the whole scene takes up the window, and then you got the product right there on the mannequin. It focuses your eye on that. So you're seeing how they used the volume to get your eye to go to something of interest. That was a winter scene that they did here, and they've got the infrastructure, they've got the lighting, they've got the propping, they've got the product in there. It's just really exciting. And then you can learn to layer things too through those blue zones, and it makes it even more dynamic. This is somebody that inexpensively just used chalk pens to create a larger scene, and they have the infrastructure right there in the center of the window to place the product. So that's the importance of creating top down, bottom up, and understanding. Stay behind the glass with your product. Don't suction cup t-shirts and purses and everything else onto it or block the view of it. Use that magic space behind the glass there. And all of that being said, if you can't see it, didn't matter that you did any of it. And the only way you're going to see it, just like that gallery, they said they had lighting. I'm like, yeah, technically you had a few lights, but it wasn't working. Lighting works. It's not for cleaning, and yes, it's for safety when you talk with transportation folks and pathway, but for me, inside a store, it's a sales tool. They can see it and they get excited about it, and we sell on color, and colors look gorgeous under the right kind of light. That helps you sell your product. So it's worth it to invest in good lighting and the right light bulbs. And it tells you where to look. Everybody looks at the vase, and then they wander down to the statues, and then they wander over to the chair on the left. It just, where the light goes, or where the light flows, that's where your eye goes. And that tells you how to read the scene. And it also shows textures and emotions and colors. So it's a workhorse once you get it in the right spot. And you can just see all the depth of the flowers. You really read it well because the shadows, light and absence of light. So I'm selling you hard on light for a reason. This is what we want to have happen in your districts. It's this emotional, it's a social connection, and you can drive the show on this one. So where do you put your lights? In front of the product, not in the center, right at the glass. So older, you might have a band along the windows you could mount the track lighting to, or maybe it's up higher, but get it as close to the product as possible. If you've got 12-foot ceilings, it's not going to help to put your lights 12 feet up there. I can't get you a light bulb that's going to work properly. You've got to bring the light as close as possible to your actual product. And same thing in your store. I can't put a light behind me and expect to aim at 12 feet the other direction. So you got to bring the light to your product. And that way, and you don't just have one light, you have to have multiple lights so you can cross light and reposition things around, because one is just like going to the stadium. There's no drama in it. It's just overlit. And so multiple lights in the right location at the right height. And here's an example of somebody that gave themselves the gift of some good infrastructure. I would talk to them about swapping out a few light bulbs, but they were 100% in the right direction. This one, now that I told you where to put the lights, I bet most of you could say, what's wrong with this picture? And you would tell me if we were live. You go, you know what? The electrician, well-meaning as they were, is used to centering lights in rooms and in closets and in hallways. And they centered the light kind of in the middle of this window's ceiling. And I'm like, oh, no, because those lights are aimed out the window or down on top of whatever it is that's on display. The lights should have been way over here by the glass on the far right side of this picture. So close, yet, there's the difference. And I like lights on the top. Sometimes we go to stores and they say, oh, we got lights. We've got them propped up down below.
It's like Halloween.
Yeah, it is. It was just Halloween. If it's Halloween, it's okay. But this to me adds value to the product. It doesn't put these light dresses in the best light. Boom, boom. So this is not window lighting. This is just not good. We should recycle it. So it's not about looking at the shape of the window. It's about looking into the window. And similar treatment here, but this retailer took some Christmas lights and outlined it. They're softer. They have good lighting behind the glass. They outlined the awning with their cafe lights. So you have this layering of light. It just spills out onto the sidewalk, as opposed to, oh man, that's sharp. That is just sharp. And it's just not enjoyable. And I realize they're not selling it. They're selling a service, but we talked about better approaches to promoting service businesses versus just outlining a window in there. You have tinted windows. We can deal with that. Daytime, I know they're open because they're open signs on. Art gallery, they're not using the center of the windows. We ended up using a table. We use actually plant hangers. I don't know if you can see those in the top, those black S-hook things up there. Plant hangers and a curtain rod to give us some infrastructure, because those were they were like 20-foot ceilings out there. And then some S-hooks, and we hung a bulletin board that's magnetized on both sides so we could add things to it so you can shop it from the backside. Put lights in directly above the glass. And now, look at that, the before on the top, daytime still below, but now you can see behind the glass. And it was tinted, and we still busted through that glass by having lighting and product in the right spot and some infrastructure to do it with. The light bulbs on the top, anything's LED anymore, so that's not a new thing. LED, of course everybody has LED. What's critical is that you choose light bulbs that have a flat front, and it's called PAR style lens. That lens shoots the light out, and it's like getting a jet spray of water and watering your product with the light. The other ones that are curly Q or round and soft and frosted, they just kind of float through the air, and they never quite arrive at your product. Those aren't sales tools. Those are great for residential and putting in a reading lamp, but you got a workhorse. The light has to arrive on top of the product. So you need a flat front PAR style LED light bulb. Entrances are next. We're going to transition kind of quickly here. Absent everything else, it's really important that people know where your front door is and that you are in fact in business. So light your entrances. And the left example invites commerce, and the one on the right invites campers. You just don't know who's coming out of that recess on the far right. And they would say, I've got light from my sign up there. I'm like, it just doesn't count. You got to have it literally right over the sidewalk. And back to the light bulbs, having the PAR style light bulb in there shining straight down gives you the kind of light that you see on the left in this picture. And so between going from your windows being bright to your entrances, those are the two that we need to nail down. Ridgeline lighting, rope lighting, we can put this in the recycle bin with those other LED window things that we saw outlining. If you're going to have rope lighting for Christmas, make it curly Q and wavy, and then put it away after Christmas. That was just a close-up, just to
The diode.
Halloween. As I was like, oh, that's what it's like. Don't make me look at that, for those little LED diodes. And your entrances are really important right now. Besides lighting them, really clean it up, scrape everything off. We've had a lot of signage up there. Isolate exactly what is important and make sure that it's easy to read. And we, if we're not sure that you're open, might walk or drive by, and we've got to be able to read that information quickly. The store hours on the left were still, it was simplified, but it still took a lot of time to have to read through every line to figure it out. We took those same hours. Now I can go, I can find my day. I can look on the left side and go Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, and then go see what day it's open. So simplify, because we don't have a lot of time. We need to make sure if the light isn't open, we can get an answer really quick about how to, when are you open? And then where do you put your signage? Create a dedicated space for where you're going to have your event flyers, because every district is going to have, you're going to have to deal with it somewhere. So find a space for it. This store, we created things for them themselves because they have a lot of their own events, and then other neighborhood happenings. And I tell you, their staff sticks to that real estate that we put on the glass. Whether it's where you create a real border like this, or you just tell your staff, this is the border that we're using, and nobody goes outside that, great. And you don't have to use tape. I've got a show and tell thing here. That's just a close up. We put other happenings on the inside too. So when people had their posters, they were back to back, so you could read what was happening while you're inside the store too. Double-sided, love a double-sided. I love this. We found this at a trade show a couple years ago. It's called Magic Frame, and it is clear, kind of opaque, and it has these tacky black strips, and you want black, not white, because black becomes invisible on glass. So you stick it to the door, the glass, and then you take your poster or posters, double-sided, because you could read both sides, and you slide it behind, and then swap it out. But when you take this off the door, it doesn't leave a residue, so you're not scraping tape. Or the door, it doesn't get blown around because things were on a suction cup and a hook and it got blown off. So this holds it nice and flat. You can read through it on both sides, and then you can reposition it. And so buy some of these, a bunch of different sizes, get them in black, and that way you can get these things on your glass, and then, but in a more elegant fashion. So that's my other tip of the day for the show and tell. Just great, happy, simplified hours, on brand. Love that they put it on a lily pad. How can you make your open sign bespoke? These are chances, along with your sandwich board, to show your personality and reinforce your brands. Your turn.
Wow.
Let's shop.
She did that in record time.
Woo!
Will you drive for me?
Okay, I will.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Anne Marie. That was Shawnette. Now we're going to go into the store. Shawnette got us to the store and told us how the importance, particularly with the windows, is what we're focusing on today. The scale, the dimension, and the light are hugely important in your windows. That's going to get you to the windows. Once we get to your store, go ahead.
Okay.
We want to avoid this. Okay, this is the goal. We don't want your holiday shoppers, or any time of year, just to be exhausted and barely make it through the experience. We want to create an experience that invigorates, and you can rejoice in the branding and the store, and that you're excited to tell people about, and you want to come back. So every shopper, whether you know it or not, we're all shoppers. When we go into a space, we start keeping score. And you don't realize you're keeping score, but you're keeping score of things that are good, little happy makers, and things that are ugly, little pain points. And when Shawnette and I visit retailers, that's exactly what we do. We walk through the store as if we were a shopper, and we start keeping score. And some of the things that we keep score on are, for example, a magic moment. Sorry, we walk through the store, we start outside. Yeah. Walk through the entrance, the pathways, how people are shopping. We're going to talk about that. We hit the cash wrap and the exit. So we cover the full store front to back.
Yeah, and that's just a map of how sometimes when we track people going through stores, where did they go first? Where did they go second? Where did they go third? Where did they go fourth? And then that red dashed line for this one store we were doing, they never went in the back. They never crossed that line. We're like, let's figure this out. Why aren't they going back there?
Get some traffic back there.
Yeah.
So the way that we start judging and grading stores is by something called a magic moment, for example, is the best thing that you can have. Like, for example, a giant magical golden gummy bear at the back of this candy store was a magic moment, no matter how old you were. And look at the light on this. We talk about how important lighting is. This store created a magic moment at the very back of their store with this gummy bear. Another magic moment for shoppers, it may not seem like it to you, but a magic moment is a sample of something. We love that. And those are coming back. We stopped during the pandemic, of course, but those are slowly coming back, the samples of things in a new, clean, very clean way. How magical would it be? How awesome would it be if you got your check and you didn't have to put your reading glasses on to sign it? So this little Visa card holder has a magnifying glass in it, and it takes something that could be a pain point. I got to get my glasses out. I can't see how much to tip. And it turns it into what could be a magic moment. Something that is a little less magical, but still so important. And my favorite thing is called a little bit of happy, LBOH. You can start finding these in your life. And a little bit of happy is something that just makes you smile. Go ahead. It adds whimsy. A shop dog, for example, is often a little bit of happy. This is an optical store where that can be a really exhausting shopping experience. There's a lot of pressure on you. You're looking at, you're spending a lot of money on something that you're going to wear every day. They did a great job of just adding some whimsy. They also had the glasses where the eyeballs pop out, and it was just really fun. It was a little bit of happy. Next on the scale is just fine. And just fine is what we see most of the time. Most of the displays in most stores are just fine. Not a thing wrong with this, but it's not remarkable. And we want to go for remarkable. We want you to be the store with the golden gummy, the store with the cool dog, the store with etc. So what makes me nervous about just fine is that it's not remarkable, and it can easily start tipping toward the next level, which is a pain point. And a pain point, we'll go over a couple of them, but a pain point is really dangerous because it can turn into a breaking point. But a pain point, for example, one of the biggest pain point shoppers tell me about is sales associates. And it is because they are encountering the associates at the wrong time, and the associates have the wrong message. So this is walking into a department store, we've all had this experience. There are 3 cosmetics estheticians, whatever they are, at the front of the store, just getting ready to pounce on you. That's you can go ahead.
Okay.
That is a pain point. Another pain point that shoppers tell us about is retail math. So just try to figure out how much your product is going to cost. It's like a game here. We don't want that. We just want you to tell us how much it is. Retail math is not fun. We want you to do the work. Mm-hmm. Another pain point is fixtures, and fixtures not doing the job that they're intended to do. So this is a cosmetic store, and the goal of the store is really hands-on. You get to try all the products, but they built a fixture in which you try the product. To try the product, you have to do a plie in front of the mirror. So you have to work out your quads and your glutes just to figure out how this product looks on you. So that's a pain point. Another pain point, I think this is our last pain point. Yeah. When you go to sign your check or you sign your receipt, which we're doing less and less of these days, but nonetheless, when the pen on the receipt doesn't work on the glass or on the countertop, that is a pain point, right when you're just about ready to finish your transaction. So this diner did a great job of acknowledging it, having trouble signing. We know you are. Sign here, use this. Now, do I wish this were a beautiful embossed piece of leather just sitting on the top of the glass? Yes, I do. And I wish it were branded. I wish it were a lot of things. But kudos to them for acknowledging that there's a pain point and providing a remedy. Mm-hmm. So as you go through your store, think about all the ways that you can create a magic moments. Where can you imbue a little bit of happy? Where are you just fine? And is it okay to stay just fine? Or can you tilt it a little bit more toward the positive and really focus on your pain points? Because a pain point left unguarded turns into a breaking point. And a breaking point is no wallets open, no sale. So you really have to be cognizant of what your pain points are and try to address them in any manner that you can. So we haven't even gotten to the store yet. Shawnette took us to the front door. Let's talk about how we get into a store. And I also, a little caveat here, this is a holiday presentation. These are best practices, and they're best practices for your busiest times, which are coming up. So we want to talk about making you look good, but we also want to talk about how to make you the most shoppable. Okay, so that's why we're going to take you through the customer journey so you can say, aha, in my store, they do X, Y, and Z. How can I make that a magical moment or a little less amenable for my shoppers.
Yeah. And when people start asking you questions, that might be a point of confusion. Those are opportunities for you to realize that might be a pain point. When they start asking you questions, because they couldn't be self-guided, they couldn't find what they came in for. You're like, oh, I'm gonna pay,
Okay, so let's talk about how we get into a store. The first thing that we do in any space that we go into is something called decompression zone. In that circle, you'll see the orangish big circle between the door. That's the entryway, and that's the decompression zone. The decompression zone is the physical space where you are literally decompressing from the outside space to the inside space. So your feet start adjusting to a new surface. Your ears, very importantly, start adjusting from the outside noise to the inside noise. Your eyes are changing because of the light. You're looking around to see if it's a safe place for you to be. Is anybody else here? That's the decompression zone. That's the first few seconds in a store. And you can watch in your space, watch how people enter, and notice that they are still in their heads in the decompression zone. They're not really in the store just yet. They're in their heads. So nothing should be sold here. No important messages should be sent here. This is a place for you to send your vibe, your brand gestalt, maybe some branding, but this is a place to steer clear of sales of sell-through product. In the next slide, we'll talk about, go ahead.
I'm trying.
A lot of the small retailers get frustrated because they're like, well, we can't afford to have this decompression zone space. We're a small store. We have to sell in every step of the square footage. I get that. And I know that you do. There are ways to cheat your decompression zone. That is literally just starting your store experience before the store starts, starting it before the lease line. So they did a really simple thing right here. They added a welcome sign. It's not just any welcome sign. It's, as Shawnette keeps saying, it's bespoke. It is on brand to them. They didn't just pick it up at Office Depot or Costco. Another way that you can create that, this is a great way that they cheated the decompression zone. So it's a beautiful store. They have their name up in lights. Check. That's great. They have a beautiful splash of color, brand color with their front door. And then if you look to the right of the door, there's a little pig flying through the window, little magical flying pig. And that thing gets more attention. It is so much fun, and it tells me that this store has a sense of humor. It has whimsy. It starts the store experience before the store. So think of ways that you can do that. It's not just with your windows. It's with dog bowls. It's with mats. It's with benches. It's with art. All the different ways that you can cheat your decompression zone to get your shoppers in the frame of mind sooner. That's the whole goal. Get them in a shopping frame of mind as soon as possible. So once we go through that decompression zone, watch your shoppers. There is a pause or sometimes even a hard stop. It's usually like at the end of your walk-off mat maybe, and you can mark an X on the floor as to where this is in your store. This is where shoppers, this is called the point of recognition. This is where shoppers start really being in the store. This is where heads come up, eyes start looking around. If they need help, you'll know it from here because they'll start looking for a sales associate. Otherwise, they're just plotting their path. So that's the point of recognition. Again, we want to make sure we want to jar them into our store. We want to get them out of their minds and into our store. And one way that we can do that is with something called a first wow. So you pass that decompression zone. And this is, again, Anthropologie, another amazing example of larger than life-size display with beautiful lighting. Wow. This is a first wow. This is something that tells me I have arrived. This is the brand. This is how they work. This is another great first wow at a restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, obviously. It was just so fun. You're standing there, you've spoken to the hostess, you're waiting. Where do you look? You don't want to stare at people who are eating, you want to lessen your wait time. And this is just a great, fun, greeting, welcome, first wow. This is a Main Street first wow. This is a store in Olympia, I believe. Yeah, in Olympia, where we studied a beautiful toy store. It was so much fun. And you can see here they have a great decompression zone. They have plenty of room where they're not selling anything.
Right here.
And once you walk off that mat, you are just struck with this really cool old carnival robot. And you see down to the right on the floor, there's a step stool that screams, "Come on in, play with this robot." And this tells us volumes about the store. This is the kind of store where it's okay for your kids to explore. It's okay to be hands-on. So this was just one of Main Street's best first wows that we have ever seen. This is a Main Street miss. This was this particular store, clothing and apparel, focused on shoes. They were proud to be carrying this brand. So to them, it was a first wow. To us coming in, it wasn't such a wow. And we're not so impressed with that brand. We don't know anything about that brand yet. So this is actually one of Shawnette's gems. Instead, she moved that to a different part of the store, brought out a table, incorporated it with colorful product, different kinds of product that you could find throughout the store, incorporated light. You'll see at the top of the picture there, there's some track light, and some hanging elements to work from the ceiling down. And she has created this beautiful triangle of color and shape and dimension. And that is a wow. That welcomes me into the store so much more than this display. So that's a first wow in your space.
They had everything. The only thing we brought were the lights.
Yeah, you have most of what you need in your store. So we've come in, we've decompressed, we've hit that point of recognition. You hit us with the first wow that says, okay, I'm here. I know what this store is about. I am submerged in the brand. And now I typically resort to the way that I shop. 85% of us are right-handed, so we typically veer to the right. We are not Pac-Man. We don't move in hard, sharp corners. We move in soft arcs. So for the most part, this is not a hard and fast rule, but for the most part, people will enter your store, check out the first display, the first wow, and then move to the right. Remember, it's a soft arc, so they're not hitting that front sharp corner. They're hitting a fixture, one or two fixtures into the store. So you want to know where your journey starts for your shoppers. So keep an eye on this. Once they hit the decompression zone and pass that first wow, where am I really starting my journey? And then we want to take you on a path maker. So instead of just letting the shopper do exactly what they do, which is kind of rote, we shop to the right, we just circle the store. We want to encourage you to build path makers within your store that tell the shoppers where to go. So a path maker, for example, this is a big box store that has an item of the week path maker and a special item at a special price. This is something that was a must see for all of the shoppers, and it changed pathways. So they came in, they did their little experience at the front of the store, and then beelined to the item of the week. A main store approach, and this is, they get credit for approaching this. It was a great approach, and they've changed it since. They had an item of the week, but it was a little bit hidden. This didn't change my path. I stumbled upon it. So remember, a path maker has to be a monument. It has to tell me where to go. It has to pull me and attract me. Product of the day, product of the week, product of the month. This is another product of the month. Those are all great path makers. If you think of Trader Joe's, they do an awesome job with a path maker with the new items end capped. It is one of the most heavily shopped spaces in Trader Joe's. Sales racks are a path maker. Whether you like it or not, they're going to make beelines to your sales products. So that tells you, if that tells you what the path is, think of what they're missing. How do you want them to circle back and see what they're missing? Think about what's adjacent to this. Think about what they're going to see next. But a path maker is you deciding where you want the shoppers to go in the store. Interesting, light is a path maker. Light is a selling tool. Light is so important. It does so many things. But in this particular picture, you can see it is it's the waiting area of a children's office, the children's waiting area of a medical office. And you can tell it's children because it's fun, it's whimsical, it's not perfect. It begs to have hands-on. But more than anything, the light is telling you, come here, come play, have fun. Light is a path maker. As opposed to light that is not a path maker. So this is really a traditional, this is what you get when you walk into your store, when you first lease your store. This is the light that doesn't tell you where to go. It doesn't help you shop necessarily. It just gives a nice ambient light, primarily to the top half of the store. It doesn't often travel down to be shopping specific lighting that we need.
And we are really close to being done too. We just noticed it's 1:00 straight
Okay.
up. So, but we're really.
Light's a path maker, so go ahead.
Yeah.
You can skip that.
Okay.
So what we want to do is get people to explore the store. So typically we see the bowling alley configuration is the easiest way people shop. They just walk up the middle and back down the back. That's easy for them, but they're missing so much of what you're putting into the store. You should at least get them to circumnavigate the store where they're going on a racetrack loop around your store. But what's even better is getting them to explore the store by building things, building pathways, building fixtures so that they can create chicaning throughout the store, so they experience more of the store and it's more fun to shop. We talk about creating islands versus aisles. So this comes from our COVID talk where people didn't want to be confronted with another shopper in a dead corner of a store. So we took the same number of fixtures that are on the aisles side and just reconfigured them into islands so that you don't have to confront another shopper. It's easier to change your pathway and you're walking around and you're still seeing all of the store. And one other thing that I want to talk about in your floor plan, during COVID, we had a lot of buy online, pick up in store, whether they shopped you online or they called you and said, do you have XYZ? Can I come pick it up? So BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store, is a new destination in a lot of stores because customers don't want to let that go. They've discovered a new easy way to shop and they want to keep that. So that front blue fixture is your new buy online, pick up in store, so that shoppers don't have to do any of those beautiful things that I just talked about. If their mission, if there's still fear out there, if they're fearful about entering your store, confronting shoppers or associates, they can just walk in and walk back out. I'm going to walk through these really fast. We don't even know don't even show the pictures if we don't want to.
Yeah.
So this is how we shop. We look, we touch, we try, we check the price, and we buy. And if there is no order in the chaos, go to the next slide, then we don't know where to look. This is a very chaotic display that has been made a little bit organized for us. So that's what you need to think. It's overwhelming.
Sorry.
Overwhelming. You don't know where to shop. You don't know where to start. Everything kind of looks the same. Give me a focal point. Give me a starting point. That's in the look. Okay. So create order in the chaos. The touch, anytime that you can let shoppers touch your product, do. This is just a display of underwear. You couldn't touch the packaged product. They pulled out a sample. This is try. So we want to incorporate mirrors in the store, whether it's for a bag or a hat or makeup or whatever. Mirrors are our friends to shoppers. And if it's not obvious, you have to be didactic and tell them to try the product. So smell me, for example. If you're going to offer them, if you're going to let them try something, you have to follow through, and the follow through is a trash can. So you need to think about, if I take that sample and I'm going to throw away the napkin, the toothpick, whatever it happens to be, how far away, where is that trash can? That's look, touch, try, buy. Price, where you can, instead of your little Shopify little price tags, where you can, pull out the price so it's much easier for shoppers to see and make a decision, because price matters. And if you can't pull out the price for shoppers to see, somewhere in your store, if it's not at the point of purchase, it should be at the cash wrap, you need a pair of reading glasses to offer shoppers, because nothing is more of a pain point than having to pull out your reading glasses over and over and over. So I think we can probably skip.
Yeah. And then I think this was the last one here.
So we're going to talk about, you get to the back of the store and maybe we went to the back of the store to that sales rack, and now we're going to turn around and shop the rest of the store. Yeah. Remember, as store planners, you need to plan a 360. So shoppers shop in a 360-degree manner. So we will want to keep shopping. This particular store, I'm standing in the back of the store. The backs of signs are to me, the backs of fixtures to me. This is a turned off store. So you want to merchandise 360 so that I can shop all the way from back to front. all the way from back and front. We don't want to see the backs of signage.
Yep. And there you go.
Yep, the cash wrap is a place that needs to be quiet. You don't want a speaker there. It is a place where people are going to come. It's a destination. This is where they'll come to look for you if they have questions. You need to have plenty of room. This is not a place to be selling a lot of product. You need room for the transaction. You need privacy. People are pulling out their credit cards. Maybe there's sensitive talk about money or whatever it happens to be. So the cash wrap, remember, sound and space are your friends. Sound, space, and light are your friends at the cash wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can add a piece of personality, do. This was a store that while you were inserting your credit card and signing for your credit card, she made a raffia tassel and added it to the bag for this beautiful personalized branding on every package that walked out. And you know people saved these, and this brand becomes sprinkled out throughout the neighborhood. Talk to your shoppers all the way out the door. It's very important to thank them. And remember that all of this information, we want people to join our Facebook page, to be our friends, to join us on Instagram, all this stuff. That's too much at the cash wrap. At the cash wrap, we are thanking them for shopping with us. We are wrapping their package and taking their money. But on the way out, give them an extra thank you and tell them how they can keep in touch with you. For example, here it was on Instagram.
Yeah. So
okay, we got through that pretty fast, 7 minutes late. So the keys that we want you to take away are that you can make a difference. Your window displays can make a big difference. So start with creating your infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Lighting matters. Your eye goes where the light flows. So remember, if you want somebody to see it, you need to light it. We can't shop it if we can't see it. And in your entrance, make sure you prioritize, keep things clean and simple, get them in the store, get them imbued in your brand, and then get them on their journey.
I'm going to move this out of the way.
Get that out of the way. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Start the experience, expand your decompression zone. What are you doing in your decompression zone? Is this where you're greeting your shoppers? Are you saying, hello, welcome, right when they walk in the door? Because that's one of the pain points. That's a little bit too early. Are you facilitating decompression or interrupting it? Know where your point of recognition is and get them to where they need to be. Do you have a first wow? Could you have a first wow? This sets shoppers on your trajectory. Remember that they move in soft rights, so you want to identify what the landing spot is, and you want to give them path makers. You want to be the one that tells them how to move through the store.
Yeah.
Find all the pain points and magic moments in your shopping exam behaviors, all the way from look, touch, try, buy, all the way back. Find the pain points and make them just fine at the very least, but a little bits of happy where you can.
Yeah.
Woo! And that, my friends, is the abbreviated version of best practices always, but particularly at holiday.
Yeah, very high peak.
And
Thank you so much.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions in the chat. I apologize that we went over.
No, that's okay. Yeah, these are all great tips. A lot of stuff that I think people don't even think about. So it was super, super helpful. Do you have a couple of minutes to address the questions? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
We do. We just want to be conscious of your guys' time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody needs to leave, feel free. As I said, we are recording, so you can catch that.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, appreciate you being here for afternoon lunch hour thing. So we're scrolling through the questions. When it comes to lighting, can you talk about colors versus just white? And by colors, Deborah, do you mean red, green, blue, or colors of white light?
I am meaning more like, there are quite a few strings of lights now that you can get that allow you, because they're LED, allow you to change colors throughout. And that, I see business owners, in shops want to match the color to the holiday per se, kind of thing. And, how does that affect how it can be lit? Like we're looking at, the Williams district, we're lighting up trees throughout the district for the holidays to make it brighter, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, we just think white, but is there anything, like I was thinking, is there anything that, that shows that, using a color sometimes does attract you or does set you aside from all the other, white lights on the street or anything like that? Like, is there a benefit to sometimes using color?
If you can manage it well long term, because white is simpler, because to not do it well, it can end up not looking as professional. Like, it'd be cool if you did the tree parts in green and maybe the trunks in red, and but that can be, from a tech standpoint, can be a heavy lift to manage, for the district, versus just to keep it simple and looking clean and sophisticated. The white, just keeping it simple is a better way to go. I have not read studies that show this color will enhance participation or perception of, to validate or to try to rationalize we have to do color because it's going to increase our foot traffic or our quality of the experience later on. If and this is from a district lighting standpoint too, where it goes, whether it's ridgeline lighting or if it's within, I feel like you've got your storefront lighting, and that could be a little bit more individualized and personalized in terms of the holiday. The ridgeline lighting, to me, that's a year-round sort of thing versus just a holiday.
Keep it clean.
Yeah, keep it clean. At Christmas time, we see people do some amazing light installations where you have like curtains of colors coming down the fronts of the building, and that's really exciting, but that's not up year round. And then that becomes a technological wonder, and I absolutely love those, and it brings people down to see those Christmas lights. But that for a year round sort of thing, I think it's a heavy lift, and I worry about the investment of time and getting a return on investment over the, I could see it lasting a couple of years, and then 5 years, like, well, we tried that. I want something that I know we could rationalize and keep people involved in over 5 years. I just want a longer return on investment. I'd like to see a good 5 or 8 year run, and then we're going to start swapping out the light bulbs again. That was a big,
I think that was a big answer to say we like white.
We like white. We like white. If they want color in their windows, let's play with that. But then we know it's temporary and seasonal, and that's more at the ground floor level versus at the big district level.
There was a question, a great question, about creating Instagrammable moments. That is a big deal. Yes. Anytime that you can create a moment, number one, it shows that people are having so much fun in your store that they want to take a experience shot, that they want a souvenir of your store by taking a photo. Mm-hmm. If you can create that in your store, that is awesome. Whether it is with a piece of the architecture of the store, or a product display, that's absolutely great. Cameras coming out in stores is usually a good thing. Or you can do it on the exterior of your store. I don't know. I think, is it Myoptic? Do they still on Williams have the angel wings out there? They had some cool wings at one point. A really cool Instagrammable moment. But anyway, it's, if you can, you should. Mm-hmm. And then encourage them to put that out on social media and hashtag you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, great idea. I think free marketing. So definitely, if you can create something that gets people excited, all the better.
Yeah.
Any other questions for our presenters?
When you're making the changes, be loud about it. Going to do it. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm in the middle of doing it, and I have done it in terms of changing your window or doing something in the store. And I can guarantee you foot traffic if you try to get something done and hope that nobody's coming in.
Right. The minute you try to change out your window, somebody's going to come in.
Oh, what are you doing? What's going on in
there? But
there?
that's okay. Let them see that theater. That's cool. Let them peek into the back room. Yeah. Yeah.
And create that dialogue that we are using now, the digital dialogue, and broadcast that. And so I think you making changes in the store is a reminder for you that you do have something to talk about, whether it's the product or just the rearranging, or you're going to try something new. So yeah, be public about it and engage your audience, and it gets people excited to come down and see the change. Yeah,
Awesome.
so many things.
Well, thanks again so much for being here. Really appreciate it. A lot of great info to kind of digest as we go into the holiday season.
We appreciate you asking. We love what you guys are doing, what your mission is. It's a lot of hard work, and then the retailers that you're supporting, that is like, I don't want to say it's rewarding, but oh my gosh, that is so much work. So
It's a heavy lift.
you've got our respect, and just making one little change in 1 week. Give yourself a pat on the back and feel good that you did something. You showed up and you did it, and good on you. And we look forward to seeing you and telling you all the good things that you're doing.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. If you're doing something, make sure to share on Instagram. You both have your own Instagram handles, so folks can
We
feel free
do.
to tag you.
And I'm trying to get it going. When I find things that I like that surprised me, I'm doing hashtag LBOH.
Little bit of happy.
From Anne Marie's phrase, a little bit of happy.
I like that.
So I don't know if we can get it trending or not, but LBOH. So you find delightful things, let's share them, and we'll be checking on those.
Great. Well, that's all the time we've got for today. But yeah, so look for a follow-up from me over the next couple of days, and let's keep the conversation going. If you have any questions, I can help connect you with more information. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.